This is Food for Thought with Deborah Walker. Today on Food for Thought, I have Katrina Patterson with me, who's an NLP and natural vision coach. And that's what we're going to talk about today, vision. So welcome, Katrina.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Thanks for having me on the programme.
Our pleasure, completely. How did you become, not so much an NLP practitioner, but a natural vision coach? Because it's not a career path that actually lots of people would take.
No, it crept up on me by mistake, actually. In 1995, I was in the NLP University, which is a virtual university that takes over the campus at Santa Cruz in California. And I met a man there who had improved his eyesight naturally. Now, I'd never worn glasses, so when he told me that, I went, oh, that's interesting. But a lot of other people were very interested, and while we were there on the course, he offered to do an evening talk, and about 80 of the 300 people turned up to hear him talking about how he had gone from wearing glasses for 20 years with myopia, short-sightedness, and then not needing glasses in 6 months. And we were all really surprised that so many people were interested and nobody more than him. And I went back to England after having done that course, which is another whole story that I could tell you another time. And I contacted him a bit later on when a friend of mine got cataracts, and I wanted to help her, and I thought he might have some information. And he was living in Hong Kong, and he sent me masses of information. But one of the things that we learn in NLP is that it's very hard to have an outcome for somebody else. And of course, my friend wasn't really interested in all the research that I did for her. So I got talking to Leo, and he asked me if I would organise his workshops for him in London. And I said to him, well, I only do my own workshops. I don't do anybody else's workshops. And I put the phone down on the conversation. And a bit later on, I thought, well, I'm getting a bit older and I don't want to wear glasses. Maybe I'll put his workshop on and then I'll find out how I don't need glasses and I'll be sorted for the rest of my life. It would have been a cheaper option to have just gone on one of his courses, I think, because to begin with, 15 years ago, it was very difficult in the UK to entice people to come on a course because people just said, it's impossible. If it was possible, people would know about it.
And that's the thing, though, isn't it? We are continually told it's impossible by our opticians. I know this because I recently had a conversation with my optician about the fact that I wanted to improve my eyesight and what would be her perspective on this. And she said, oh, you can't. Basically it would just be carrying on doing what I'm doing. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't believe that's the case. The body constantly regenerates itself.
It takes a different way of thinking. You have to think that this is not about optics and about putting lenses in front of your eyes. It's more about mindfulness and being aware about how you're using your eyes and how you're using your body. It's a whole body experience.
That's a really interesting perspective, that the fact that you're bringing it back to the whole body experience and being mindful. Explain that in more detail for us.
Everything is connected to everything else in the body, but of course medicine takes different parts of the body. You can't just take the eyes, you have to look at the whole body. But in fact, I always recommend that people go to their optician for regular checks, because the eyes are, as well as being a window on the soul, they're a window on our health and a window on what's happening to the blood supply in our body. So opticians can see a lot of things on the back of the eye that you wouldn't normally see, that they wouldn't normally have access to. So in terms of mindfulness, what I like to think about is our habits, good and bad. We have good and bad habits with our vision, but we don't notice them. And mindfulness brings us back to noticing what's happening with our eyes. You might have noticed when you've not felt very well or you've had a cold that your vision's not so good.
I actually had a cold yesterday, and I'm recovering today.
Yeah.
And actually yesterday I could barely read the screen of my computer, which was absolutely fascinating.
And you hadn't maybe linked that with not feeling very well, or maybe you did because you are quite a mindful person. And then the same way, when we're on holiday, people often say to me, oh, it's amazing, my vision is so good on holiday. But there you are, relaxed, often lying on the beach, or if you're a more active person, walking around, and your body is much more relaxed. So what you're doing with natural health, and what I'm doing with natural vision and NLP, is always looking at homeostasis, how you get the body, how the body allows itself to get back to the right equilibrium. But at the same time, it's really interesting because we've all got like a thermostat setting for our vision. And there are little things that make us notice a difference. Like if you have a good yawn, you might notice, and you can all try this at home, have a good yawn.
Perfect.
And then you get more moisture in your eyes. And the moisture in the eye acts as a lens, which improves your vision. So fleetingly, after a yawn, if people are noticing, the vision improves.
So it really can be quite simple things you can do to improve your vision.
Yawning is really good. I mean, I often do talks for groups, and I did a talk in my local library for the staff. And whenever I go and change my library books, they all go, hello, Katrina. And laughter. See, we're having a laugh now. When you look at people's eyes when they're laughing, they're shiny because there's more moisture in the eye, and that, again, that helps improve vision.
And we don't really pay that much attention to our eyes, do we?
No. I always say people pay more attention to their teeth than they do to their eyes, because we probably spend more on our teeth than we do on our eyes.
How come that's the case, do you think?
It's I think it's just kind of aware, you know, we're using them all the time, so we don't notice them. It's unmindfulness about them. So I hope that when people listen to these few minutes, that they will, from time to time during the day, come back to, how are my eyes? Just asking that question, how are my eyes now?
And that brings it back to that whole mindfulness about the whole body, doesn't it? Because many people now are not even aware of themselves or other people, never mind their eyes.
Yes, I travel on the tube quite a lot, and people are switching off from each other more and more. So they're going inside, they've got their headphones in their ears, they've got their glasses on, and they're looking at their iPad or listening to music. But they're actually staring into space. And staring is one of the worst things that you can do for your eyes, because your eyes are open and they can dry out because the blink rate decreases. So blinking is another really simple exercise for hydrating your eyes, getting more moisture on your eyes.
So that whole hydration aspect is incredibly important. I always see the eye as a muscle, whether I'm right or wrong, but fundamentally muscles need water, and therefore I always think hydration is incredibly important. Never really thought about it specifically for my eyes though.
Yeah, well, do. And there are 6 very strong muscles around each eye, which move our eye in all sorts of different directions. And they are some of the strongest muscles in the body. Even when you're asleep, you watch somebody that's asleep, their eyes are still moving, making micro muscle movements. And it doesn't stop until you die. So sometimes people think that they can wear out their eyes, but actually they're designed to keep going and keep us seeing until the end of our lives.
I understand eyesight changes across the day.
It does. Yeah.
In what way and why?
Well, it can vary from person to person, and it can vary by up to 2 diopters. The term diopter is a way of measuring the distance that your eye is able to see. It's a term used by opticians, and I can come back to that later on. But it varies with the amount of energy that we have in our body. So when you get up in the morning, And actually, if you're going to have your eyes tested, the morning is the best time of the day to have your eyes tested after you've had a good sleep. Okay. You're refreshed. There's a lot of energy in the eye. And then as you move on throughout the day, the energy diminishes until you have a little rest, and then it builds up again. But around 4 o'clock, based on the body's ultradian rhythm, that's when our bodies are getting ready to get ready for sleep. Although a lot of us try and override that, me included as a self-employed person. So around about 4 o'clock, our body is getting ready for rest and to sleep. And that's often when people start reading or doing work after work at home. And very many self-employed people go on until about midnight or beyond, don't they? So it's not respecting the body's ultradian rhythm, the natural cycles of the body. So basically, vision varies with the body's ultradian 90-minute cycles.
Oh, really fascinating. So in many respects, we should really be taking stock. It's going to come back to mindfulness again. Stock of exactly how we're feeling throughout the day, because actually, if we are feeling tired, we could. Am I right in thinking that actually we could damage our eyes by then carrying on in the evening?
Well, I don't think you damage your eye, but the eyes are giving you a message that you need to rest.
Right.
I have met people who have spent lots of time on the computer just looking very close, and the light from the computer after about 4 o'clock, the blue light from the computer has an effect on our whole system. And I've met a few people who have in fact damaged their eyes by staring too much and continuing with dry eyes.
So health has a massive impact on eyesight. Should we eat with a focus on our eyes throughout the day?
Well, I think everything that you say to people generally about nutrition is what supports good vision. The ideal thing is to be able to cook from scratch. Then you're eating all the right nutrients, and the latest research is showing now that we even need to cut down the amount of fruit that we're eating, because too much sugar and fruit turns to fructose, which is another sugar, is not good for the eyes. Well, the eye has the highest concentration of vitamin C of the whole body. The whole chemical process with the rods and cones of converting light into images uses up a lot of chemicals in the eyes, and we get those chemicals from our food. So, the more vitamin C that you're eating, it's good for your whole body, but it supports the eye. And also green vegetables, particularly kale, contains a lot of zeaxanthin and lutein, which are very good for the part of the eye that sees most clearly, the retina and the fovea.
Yeah. So, and it's not just that. Also, the eye uses up quite a lot of oxygen, doesn't it?
It does. It uses up about 20% of the body's oxygen.
Incredible amount of oxygen going to the eyes. I had no idea.
They're just so busy all the time. And that's what we're saying we take for granted. But it's not only seeing that the eyes do. Almost all of our senses do two things. So we use our eyes to see, but they're also helping us with movement. That's why I said there's the whole body thing. And one of the things that really was fascinating to me as somebody with dyslexia and dyspraxia was I realised that I didn't move a lot as a baby, and I didn't gain the benefit of eye-hand coordination that babies do. I was one of those babies that was in a playpen for a lot of times, that my mum knew where I was. So all those exercises that babies are doing on their own, like moving their toys around and working out where they are in space, are really important.
Do they tend to use more peripheral vision, babies?
No, babies are really focusing on what's going on in front of them. Their children are usually long-sighted up until about the age of 8, and gradually their vision comes in. It's kind of like a safety thing for them.
Ah, interesting.
As humans, we are designed to look far. So, naturally, our eyes want to rest out on the horizon. But more and more, our life is bringing us in to look near.
Yeah, one of my best friends calls me musky because I can barely see over the horizon. I have to say.
So are you short-sighted or long-sighted?
Very short-sighted. When
you say very, do you know what your prescription is?
It's minus 5 point, I think it's 5 and 5.75 minus 7.5, I think.
Okay, so it's really interesting that you say very, very short-sighted. Okay. It's subjective, our experience of what our short sight is. Because I know a lady who's minus 30.
Oh, gosh, I couldn't imagine.
And she teaches natural vision improvement because she doesn't want other people to go through the kind of experiences she had as a child in hospitals.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you see, you're going very, very, but people don't know how far it goes up to.
I had no idea, and that's what's really interesting about when you go to see your optician. It's very unlike coming to see a naturopath who I'm trained to work really educationally, and actually you go see your optician and they don't really explain everything. It's very difficult trying to get information out of them at times about how you can improve things and what things actually mean.
Well, I think, as consumers, we are entitled to get that information from opticians. And I think if you ask them the right questions, they will tell you. So when you're handed your prescription, my mission is to get people to say, can you explain to me what this means?
Mine will now be, I'm not as bad as I thought I was.
And there will be some times during the day when you are less than your prescription.
Yeah, that is absolutely true.
The important thing as well is to spend some time without your glasses or contact lenses.
That's really interesting, actually, because that's absolutely right. I do notice periods of the day when my eyesight is definitely, it's more difficult to see than other times.
And that's a message from your body.
Yes.
Yeah, but go and rest.
Now, I was born with what they would consider poor eyesight, and so I didn't have 20/20 vision. And
when you say you were born with it, did they notice it straight away?
Yes. So in effect, I was told it was hereditary, and my sister has the same level of eyesight. Now, is that actually the case, that it's hereditary? Is that typical from your perspective?
Yeah, I think there's a very small proportion of people that are born actually with poor eyesight. It's usually congenital cataracts or something like that, a really small proportion of people. And this whole idea of hereditary vision, what we're starting to find out with genetics is you can have a tendency to have something, but what happens in your environment to change that or support that. So I often see families out shopping, and you might have noticed that, and they all walk in the same kind of way. Yeah. And you might see a whole family where everybody wears glasses. And what I think when I look at those people is that they probably have the same kind of hobbies, the same kind of habits. And children watch very closely their parents. We learn our facial expressions from our parents. So by watching a parent that wears glasses, you can even hold the muscles around your eyes in the same kind of way. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I It is interesting with whether you're born in with something or not. I know I've always felt that from my perspective, there was, as I've followed my own health picture back and other clients' health pictures back, I see deficiency pictures, and I often feel that they're more linked with deficiencies than actually it's more hereditary.
Yeah. There was some evidence that high levels of sugar could cause myopia in children.
Well, that's interesting. Sugar is such an issue, and we don't realise it in regards to inflammation and the other causes of it. They're only just really discovering the implications of sugar, aren't they? I was recently told that my eyes would just get worse and worse, and it would be through, my age, and that it was typical, and that this was what I should expect in regards to the age macular degeneration. I think that's a societal belief.
I would agree with you. There is some new evidence to show that the rise in macular degeneration may not be linked to an increasingly aging population, but the diets that we've all been eating.
And in your perspective, that would be the fact that they're too high in sugar and things. Yeah,
the sugars and the trans fats. And like you say, it's only my perspective. Yeah. I'm very interested in all the new research that's coming out all the time. I mean, it amazes me that we're still finding out new things about the eye all the time.
Yeah.
In 2002, they found new day and night receptors in the retina of the eye. That's quite recent, isn't it? 2002.
Yeah.
And then last year, in 2013, they discovered another layer in the cornea, which is going to mean that a lot of textbooks have to be rewritten. It's a very microscopic layer in the cornea, which has an effect on the structure of the cornea.
Incredible, isn't it? And the thing is, I believe we only really know about 10% about the body in many respects.
Yeah. So, I just think that the more that we can do to look after our health in general, if you've got a healthy body, if you're exercising, that's going to improve your vision. And you can do something about improving the energy levels in your eye. If you're short-sighted, like you are, on your prescription that you get from the optician, under one of the columns, it would give you a number for each eye. And that would say, for you, it would be -5. And from the point of view of the work that I've learned with Leo and from working with other people, it means that you don't have enough energy in your visual system to see far. And if you can put more energy in your visual system, then you can reverse that and you'll have enough energy to see far. And in fact, Leo Angart, the guy that I work with, had the same prescription as you, and he wore glasses for 20 years. They were very thick glasses in the end. It took him 6 months to reverse it so that he didn't need glasses at all.
That's actually significant, considering the cost of glasses and contact lenses nowadays, actually, which are ongoing costs.
Yeah. It's quite funny, really. It's a factor often when people consider natural vision improvement because the glasses are so expensive. I had a friend who I said, well, you're my friend, so you can come on this course for free. And she said, oh, no, I can't afford it. I can't afford to reduce my prescription because it would cost me so much money.
Yeah, and that would be a factor, of course, because every time you go, it actually costs money to go and then have everything redone for the glasses. Yeah. And it's not inexpensive.
But contact lenses is a way of doing it.
Yes.
Disposable contact lenses.
And
it's a way of dealing with it.
And do you prefer people to wear disposables over the I don't even know what the other ones are anymore, but the other ones that you'd wear for longer?
They're called hard lenses. Well, it's not my preference. It's really dealing with the person that I'm talking to's preference. Right. My preference is for people to use their glasses as a tool and take them off when they're not doing the kind of work that they need them for. So with contact lenses, you kind of got them stuck in there. And there is a problem with contact lenses over a long time, with scratching on the cornea.
And so fundamentally there's the potential that you are going to slowly but surely degrade your eyesight from that.
People who I've met after a certain number of years have been told that they can't wear contact lenses anymore because their eyes just won't accept it. So I'm lucky enough never to have worn glasses. So from my perspective, I wouldn't want a foreign body in my eye.
Yeah.
And I think anything that you can do naturally. Do you wear contact lenses?
I do. Well, I go backwards and forwards, interestingly enough, throughout the day between contact lenses, and then I get to a point where I can't see with them, and so then I tend to go over to glasses.
Yeah. So it's using these products as a tool.
Yeah.
But I hope that I might interest you enough that you will try some of the energy exercises, so that you can notice for yourself whether it makes a difference. There's some energy exercises that everybody can find on the internet. Mm-hmm. They're called Chinese acupressure exercises. You can find them on YouTube. In China, the incidence of short-sightedness is so great, and generally the country can't afford glasses for everybody. So they instigated a regime of teaching these acupressure exercises in school to help improve the children's eyesight. And that's what you can find on YouTube if you Google Chinese acupressure exercises.
And specifically, what's that doing to the eyes then?
That's there are acupressure points all around the eye, and that's stimulating the acupressure points so that you get more energy, more chi.
So it's the chi. We're working with energetics here over actual. So we're working with Eastern medicine rather than Western at that point.
Yeah. Well, the whole of the principles of the kind of natural vision improvement that I do is very much based on how much energy is there in the visual system.
And how do you specifically measure that, apart from the actual the optician's measurement, of -5 or whatever?
The result is that you notice whether you can see better or not. It's immediate.
Ah, right. So it can be really that fast when you start to do these exercises. How often would you do them, for instance?
You can do them as often as you want. It just depends whether you've got to have a life in between.
Depends how much you want to save yourself some money.
You could overdo it, but it doesn't really happen if people start off short-sighted. But and you don't have to do them forever. Once you've built up the energy in your visual system, like Leo doesn't keep doing exercises all the time, except that he teaches around the world every weekend. So when he's demonstrating, he's doing the exercises. But, to begin with, for somebody like you, who with a prescription for myopia, short sight of -5, doing it every 2 hours would be great.
So it could be that frequent. Wow.
Mm. But it doesn't take very long.
No, not
and I think, when it's something that you do almost naturally, because when I put my face cream on in the morning, I do that area around my eyes. My fingers automatically go to that whole shape around the eye, and that's stimulating the acupressure points.
It is interesting what naturally we tend to do for ourselves, isn't it? Because often we'll hold our foreheads and things like this, and our bodies are clearly telling us, we're trying to move the blood around in different ways on different acupressure points.
Yeah, I love watching those sort of just natural movements. When people take their glasses off, they often try and relieve the pressure of the bridge by just moving their fingers in that area, and there are acupressure points there.
Yes. Now, in regards to bringing more oxygen to the eyes, obviously your posture matters as well as your breathing.
Yes, and particularly when people are sitting at the computer all day, when you stare, you automatically stop blinking. So, and also you stop breathing. So then the oxygen level reduces. So I have a note on my computer which says, remember to breathe and blink.
Breathe and blink.
And if anybody who's listening watches a kind of open plan office full of people at computers, you will see how flat their faces go, because they're not breathing and they're not blinking, so the colour changes.
Oh, fascinating.
Do that next time you're in an open plan office.
Everybody will be out looking now at each other.
Yeah, so actually making time to breathe, and also there's lots of research to show that we're sitting down too much. It's been in the news recently, hasn't it? So making sure that you get up every 20 minutes, even when you're doing something that demands a lot of concentration, having a walk around, having a glass of water, and then coming back means that your body is in a better state and you're able to think better.
I think what we're learning is that actually the Western way of life really isn't that good for us. And we need to be out more, we need to be less busy, less stressed, not eating the rubbish.
People have got to make money, so they have got to manage themselves whilst using a computer. So I'm not saying don't use it, but just listen to your body.
So obviously a computer is one of the things that I noticed when I'm an extensive computer user, and it doesn't help my eyesight. I've got friends who definitely think their eyesight's worse since using the computer. Now, what are the typical things that tend to degenerate eyesight, do you know of?
Holding your vision at a near point, instead of allowing your eyes to move backwards and forwards from the horizon and to a near point. Because I said those muscles around the eye are really strong. So if you're holding them near, that creates tension and tiredness. So that's one of the things. Glare from a badly positioned computer screen can make your eyes tired. Mm-hmm. The way to find out if you've got any glare on your screen is to turn all the lights off and see what's reflected in the screen when all the lights are off. So how you position it is really important. So lighting the room appropriately as well. Fluorescent lighting is some of the worst lighting that you can have, and of course that's what's in lots of offices and lots of shops, and that's not so good for us because that kind of light doesn't give any shadow, and the way that our eyes make sense of the world is by looking at dark and shade. So LED lamps and halogen lamps in your office are much better than a fluorescent lamp.
Interesting. Now, you've talked about lighting there. What about colour? How does colour affect the eyes? Like if you're in different environments?
Well, colour is a frequency. It's an energy. Mm-hmm. And that's all that's happening is the different vibrations of colour are coming into our eyes and our brain makes sense of it. So, I don't know, are you thinking in terms of wallpaper or?
I'm thinking in terms of if you are out in nature, for instance, do those colours have a different impact on the eyes over, for instance, an industrial environment, for instance? So I'm just, because I know colour affects the body, I'm just wondering specifically more the eyes.
Well, you just have to, I'm lucky enough to have a park outside my window here, and I just turn my head and I get a whole expanse of green. And green is actually the most restful colour, the green in nature for us to look at. And that's why very many offices have plants in there as well. Because the green of plants is one of the most difficult colours to replicate. As people try to do that on computers and things, the light bounces off natural foliage in so many different ways. It's really healing for us to look at it.
So we can heal through our eyes.
Yes, certainly.
What a fabulous concept.
Well, our environment has such a great effect on us. There is a story that I heard from another vision trainer, how just after the war in Germany, they tried to save money by building an orphanage with no windows in for blind children. And then they discovered that all the children fell ill because it's not only colour, but it's light that we need for our health. And we're discovering that now with, the threshold of vitamin D that we're finding is important for good health. Of course, we get that from sunshine.
Now, we underestimated the power of the sunlight, basically, didn't we?
Yeah.
Now, whilst we were exchanging emails, you said something that I needed to be aware of, that whilst I was going through a big upheaval, like moving countries, which is what I'm about to do, it can have an effect on my vision. Why would that be the case? Explain.
Because it depletes your energy.
Right.
And you're stressed. So the body operates kind of like a hierarchy of where it's going to give its energy to, and your eyes might lose out in that kind of situation. Particularly
if, I suppose, with the stress aspect of things, then stress has to have a direct impact on the eyesight, doesn't it? Because, of course, it's reducing the oxygen. It's not only that kind of thing, but very many people report that they notice that their eyesight changed with important times in their family when they were little. Maybe when a new child was born in a family and one child felt a little bit put out, starting school, changing classes where they didn't like the new teacher. All these emotional things can have an effect. When we have a workshop, we like to have a lot of people together because people learn so much by each other's stories. So over the last 15 years that I've been involved in natural vision improvement, I've heard so many amazing stories of how people suddenly realised that there was a particular time when their vision collapsed and they allowed it to stay like that instead of coming back. I know that when my mother died 7 years ago, my vision collapsed completely for 3 days. And if I hadn't known about this, I think that would have been the time when I would have thought, oh, I'm at the age now where I need glasses. But I waited and rested and my vision came back again. It is interesting because I know from my case histories that I take that I can see direct correlations between stress incidents and trauma and actual degradation of the eyesight. So you can see it.
So some of the time, healing some of those early traumas might be enough to allow people to regain their eyesight as it was before.
Now, I noticed that people seem to use their peripheral vision less than they used to. Maybe that's just my perspective on things, but I find that I'm walked into more than ever in supermarkets and shops and in cities whilst I'm walking along, and I feel that people are almost losing their spatial awareness. Do you have a perspective on that at all?
I don't think that's surprising, considering that people are tending to work more and more at a near distance. And so then your peripheral vision isn't required. So, like, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Of course.
And we are designed, to really use our peripheral vision to help get us out of danger.
Yeah. I have become very, very aware of how few people will actually give you the space now, and then people tend to walk into you more, and I was starting to wonder why that would be the case. But of course, if everybody is using devices which tend to make you very focused on one thing in front of you, then inevitably your peripheral vision isn't going to be used.
Yeah
Fascinating.
And your peripheral vision helps your breathing as well, because when you widen your visual area, you widen the space for breathing.
So how do we go about working on that sort of thing to improve it, to use our peripheral vision? Because if we don't know that we've not got it, or we're not using it enough, how do we then actually start to promote the use of it?
Well, first of all, you've got to want to do it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that really couldn't care less. And a lot of people like fashion glasses, which actually obscure their peripheral vision. I don't know if you've noticed there's a trend for very thick arms on the side of glasses.
Yes.
That's one of the things that will reduce people's peripheral vision, so they're boxed in. If you want to improve your peripheral vision, it's just that reminder every 20 minutes when you're working, get up, look far, and take your hands out to the side, wiggle your fingers to stimulate your peripheral vision.
It's
and have a laugh.
Now, what else can people be doing to improve their eyesight naturally? You've told us about the Chinese acupressure points and the peripheral vision one there. What else can we do to actually start to improve our eyesight, apart from come on your workshop, perhaps?
We said, do that. There's not only me, there's lots of people throughout the world. There's many different ways to improve your eyesight. So look out for ways you can improve your eyesight. Keep your eyes moving and change your focus. We've said that. Stay curious. I mean, if you're curious, you're going to be using your peripheral vision, aren't you?
Yeah.
I know you're curious.
I hate to say it, I am. My whole life is I've never got out of the why.
No, but that's really good. So all you need to do is kind of keep your glasses off more and get a bit more energy in your eyes, and you'll soon get rid of them.
Well, I have to say that's very motivating.
Yeah. Rest your eyes regularly. You know, there's a wonderful exercise. It's the oldest natural vision improvement exercise called palming, where you just rub your hands together. Make sure your hands aren't tense after being at the computer for a long time. So you might hear the rubbing noise. I'm doing the rubbing. That you can do it along with me. Rub your hands together, and then you close your eyes gently as if your eyelids are butterfly wings, and then cup your hands over your closed eyes so that the palm isn't actually touching the eyelid, and your nose is poking out so you can breathe. And rest your elbows on a table or a pile of cushions and just enjoy the blackness, because bathing your eyes in blackness is the most soothing thing that you can do, apart from looking at green. Oh, that was a nice sigh.
Oh, that already feels better.
And you only need to do that for 30 seconds to make a difference. But sometimes when I'm on a long train journey, I do it for an hour.
Gosh.
Of course, then everybody thinks there might be something wrong with me.
No, you're holding your head in your hands.
I'm all right with that.
It's about being very secure in yourself at that point, isn't it?
And also practicing anything like yoga or meditation, Tai Chi, getting yourself to the gym. Anything that involves exercise is also going to exercise your whole body. Exercise helps the health of your eyes.
What must help with the oxygenation, the reduction of the stress, reduction of body tension, so enabling all of everything to function far better.
Yeah.
But I think you made a really interesting point at the beginning, which was about the mindfulness side, because more and more, I spoke to Dr. Guy Meadows about sleeping recently, and the process he works people through is fundamentally mindfulness. And more and more, I'm understanding that actually being mindful is absolutely key to good health in so many ways.
Well, it's using your own body as a feedback system, isn't it? It's actually listening, because your body is telling you things.
Yeah.
I used to really like to read in bed, and now I don't read in bed because it's time for me to sleep and for my eyes to rest.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. We carry on our lives, don't we, right until the last minute.
Yeah. And very many people say to me very disappointedly, oh, but it's the only way I can get to sleep. And I say, you can change.
Yes.
You know, if you want to look after your eyes, you need to do something different.
And on that pearl of wisdom, how do people attend your workshops, and what can they expect on your workshops, and where else are you speaking? And have you got it's not your book, is it? It's Leo's book.
Yeah, the chap that I work with, the guy that I met in Santa Cruz, is called Leo Angart, and he's written 3 books so far. 2 of them are available in English. One is called Improve Your Eyesight Naturally, and you can get that on Amazon, but it's also available in most public libraries if people just want to have a quick look at it to see if it's the kind of thing that they're interested in. What I really like about that book is at the back of the book there's a plan for almost every type of vision problem that you can come across, which gives you at least 2 or 3 exercises. So we've talked about short-sightedness, but we haven't talked about the need for reading glasses, which is affecting more and more people.
Yes.
Because, you know, the baby boomers are suddenly people that are coming into the area of needing reading glasses. So that's on your prescription. That would have a plus sign for reading glasses. And he's also got a new book out with a DVD called Read Again Without Glasses, designed specifically for that group of people. And there are some people who just have something called an astigmatism.
That's what I've got. I've got one in one of my eyes.
Have you got an astigmatism?
Yeah.
That's one of the easiest things to get rid of. But the best way to give yourself an astigmatism is by reading on your side in bed. Are you laughing? Because that's you.
How well do you know me? People will start to talk, Katrina.
It creates unequal tension on the eyes, but similarly, in my experience, astigmatism can be caused by uneven hips. Yeah. You know, it's the muscles are connected all the way down the body.
Interesting.
So there's a very good exercise in Leo's book called the Tibetan wheel for getting rid of astigmatism. And so Leo's going to be here in June doing a 2-day workshop in London, and people can contact me on my email address, which I guess you're putting up on the website, are you?
We will do, yes, indeed. Yeah. And actually, you can tell everybody now. So that
that's Katrina at key, K-E-Y, figure2.demon.co.uk. And I'm going to be in Cork doing a 2-day workshop in a place called Middleton on Saturday, I just lost it, the 27th and 28th of September. And I'm also going to be doing a 1-day workshop in London on Saturday the 13th of September for an organisation called All About Natural Medicine. And that website is www.allaboutnaturalmedicine.com. So on the 1-day workshops, it's an introduction to the ideas that, you know, talking more like we have and specifically about people's problems. On the 2-day workshops, it's really about the motivation to get people going to make big changes in their lives. And people learn so much by being in a group with other like-minded people, because often other people tend to be a bit skeptical that it's possible. So one of the most important things about coming on the workshop is people are open to believe it's possible, and then they find out the keys to doing it.
Perfect, Katrina. Join me on my Facebook page, guys, and I am going to do work at trying to remove, in fact, I'm not even going to try, I'm going to work at removing my contact lenses and my glasses from my life. And so those of you who are wearing glasses and contact lenses, come and join me. Tell me all about your journey as well. Grab the books that Katrina's talked about and let's do it together. And let's document our journey about what we're all doing and how we're doing it. Thank you, Katrina. It's been a superb interview. Thank you very much. It's really good to talk to you. Katrina has kindly offered one of Leo Angart's books for competition, so if you fancy your chance to win a copy of Read Again Without Glasses, then email webmaster@naturalhealthradio.co.uk saying, I would like to remove my glasses forever, Deborah, in the strapline, or on the actual blog post where Katrina is mentioned. Actually put in the comments box the same thing. I would like to remove my glasses forever, Deborah. And by the end of the month, we will have selected one of you out of the hat.